What is poppin' and choppin' my Bagel Bites? It is Mr. Bagel Bites here, bringing you another deck profile and Blue Eyes deck discussion. In this one, I'm going to go over my deck profile that I'm taking to a regional this weekend, and hopefully I'll be able to talk about that more when I get back. Made quite a few changes since the last video and have a lot of reasons for it. I'm really happy to get into those. I'm also going to go over some ideas that I had that I didn't end up implementing, but maybe you'll take something from and see some potential. But I'll go ahead and get into it, starting with the profile here. We are playing Triple Maiden White. Of course, this card is a focal piece. This card is really good, very strong. Yeah, love this card a lot. really integral for the deck. We're playing Triple Sage, kind of same thing with Maiden, where I think it's just a really strong, it's a starter. You're playing a lot of starters in the deck. It's a really good card. Get you going. Something big that's changed recently that I really am enjoying is we are playing double Neo Kaiser Seahorse. So a thing that I've been noticing that's happening when I'm playing is a lot of these starters are kind of easy to out. So it's kind of nice to have some of these extra extenders that if you can get to Mausoleum 2, you can still use your additional normal. And then like these guys are kind of cool being a light tuner. That is a level 4, so that comes up a little bit. You can also change his level, or a light tuner's level, to go up 1 or 2. Or no, I'm sorry, go up 1 or down 1, rather. That one's less important, but it does target, so that does come up as well. He's super cool. He's an extender if you already have the Blue Eyes and you use this, which does come up. He's a level 4. He can get you into your Spirit, your Link 1. He's honestly really cool, and having the extra body is more important than I thought it would be. I think he's really good. I bumped him to 2, had him at 1. I may go back to 1, but I honestly have really been liking 2 as having that extra presence on the board. Now I'm going to trigger a couple people here. I only play 2 Blue Eyes. I know some people immediately go, I'm clicking off immediately, only 2 Blue Eyes. I'm sorry. It's correct. 3 Blue Eyes is just too many. You're already playing quite a number of quotation marks bricks in the deck, and bumping to 3 just really messes up the consistency. Opening the card is not always bad, but it's not good. It's if you can't dump it into the graveyard and you have it in hand when you already have your True Light play and stuff, like, it's not too bad, but like it's you don't want to brick on 3. I'm sorry. I know Kaiba played 3, but it's just not correct. Yeah, if there was an option to play 1, I probably would, but you do need at least 2. Triple Wishes. Absolutely busted card. Absolutely goated card. This is such a good card. Discarding, adding 2 pieces of like cardboard to your hand, getting a Veiler, getting an extender, getting a combo starter, and then banishing to put the Neo in grave. I know people say it's not important. I'm sorry, you're wrong. You haven't played the deck enough if you don't think sending the Neo to graveyard is important, especially for your synchro. I'm sorry, it is such a good card. I did have it at 2. I still think 2 is probably the correct ratio. But I don't have Mulcharmies right now. I'm not playing the Mulcharmies in this, so I put this back to 3. And I think that's how we're going to play it for right now. Could go back to 2. I honestly don't mind the 2 ratio, because this getting ashed and like you losing the card is kind of like a problem I've talked about with Dark Magician before when we played it, is why you can't afford to play like hand traps as easily in that deck, because going like losing a card like that and going to 3 is really hard. This deck can do it better because it's more modern, so it has pieces to continue playing, but this is a really if they hit this, you feel really bad. Luckily this deck plays enough cards to try and have them hand trap those cards first before you activate your wishes, and then you can just continue to play off, which is nice. Or if it's being set off the True Light, you've typically made it pretty far in your combo, so it doesn't feel too bad either. So that's kind of like we're playing the Kaiser, kind of as it's not bait per se, but it does dump a card to the graveyard when it's sent off your Spirit, which is really nice. It's so good. Sending a card off of Kaiser Seahorse feels so good after going into Spirit. Like, it's really strong. 1 Roar. I've considered 2, honestly, but we have cut the Jet for now. I've gone back and forth. I think there's a brew where I do consider it, but right now I think Roar at 1 in this specific deck is correct. Really strong. We've been playing on ladder like, this deck has been performing really well, and I really like the changes we've made, but one Roar feels correct for now. One True Light, one Mausoleum, and one Majesty. I'm going to speed through the rest of the Blue Eyes cards right there. Mausoleum's really good. It's part of, like, the bricks, per se. I don't really care about, like, drawing Majesties. It feels like less of a brick than some other cards. Like Roar's not really, but these are, like, the main ones besides Blue Eyes. Like, you're playing a number of... You are playing some bricks, but they don't feel as bad as they used to because of cards that go into them. And since Maiden can set from hand, oh my god, if Maiden could only set from deck and you drew this, you're wanting to, like, probably just end it. I wanted to surrender, but being able to play from hand is so strong. And so drawing it doesn't feel as bad. But those are the three of those. Majesties is broken. I see people not playing Majesties and opting to play Ultimate Fusion. While I don't hate Ultimate Fusion, and it was a contender for the deck, along with Majesties is another name for setting, which is the reason why I believe two Wishes is also correct. Yeah, this card is so good. This card is so broken. Like, it's probably like one of, if not the best card in the deck. All right, we'll continue to play here. We're playing triple Ether Barrel, of course. There's an argument for 2. I don't really like it, but I have seen people try to, like, copium on it. I think 3 is correct. Starter, in the grind game, you get from the Primite cards invaluable. I know people try to cope and say it's not good. I think they just didn't get to hop on it early enough. Like, it's gone up, it's expensive. I won't lie. Like, Ether Barrel and then, like, Lordly Load are really expensive now. And, like, I can't deny that. But, man, like, your grind game that you get out of this, like, the starting ability, like, Primite Lordly Load is such a good card. And then going into, like, the Primite Drill Beam, like, you have so much advantage with these cards that if you open them, and, like, their hand trap bait, they're so good at baiting hand traps, like Ether Barrel and Load. And then if you already have the Drill Beam, like, drawing Drill Beam never even feels bad, to be honest. Like, you're at some point, hopefully, going to get a normal monster on board. Like, that's kind of the goal, or in your graveyard, to reset off True Light. And Drill Beam is so freaking good, and being able to reveal Load or this in hand, as well as the normal, means even if you draw the Blue Eyes, sometimes it's not so bad if you have Drill Beam. These cards are really, really good. I'm sorry you get way too much advantage off them. They're really powerful. One Pot of Prosp. This was a last-minute inclusion. We bumped the count to 42. I'm even thinking about going to 43 with one of these other hand traps that I might bump up, but I really like Prosp. It helps get to other pieces. It's good hand trap bait. You have a few pieces of extra deck cards that you don't care to go into, depending on the matchup. So I do think Prosp is a really strong card in the deck right now, and definitely worth considering. And I mean, like, the supers are pretty cheap, I'm pretty sure still, so it's not even like an expensive card if you're playing budget. We were playing 2 Crossout Designator. This was a last-minute decision that I decided from a buddy of mine when he was talking about how my brew kind of looked, and I wanted more going first cards. So Crossout kind of does both of those things now. It enables our plays to stop the hand traps from kind of being as impactful, so you can play a bit more recklessly, I guess is the correct way to say it. You can use cards and combos that you typically want to play around, or if you're like, especially with the hand traps that we're playing, because there's so many spots in the deck for non-engine. I think Crossout's really strong in Blue Eyes. I think there are a lot of mirror matches going around right now that Nobleman in the main can really, really help you win. I think it's really strong. Yeah. Plus playing Prosp, like, is good because it's another target, because Prosp is starting to see a bit more play. So that's a target. And then just infinite hand traps. Or just the Blue Eyes cards. If you hit a Blue Eyes card, like, I can stop their plays. I'm playing 1 Mag, 1 Druid's Worm. I think these are really strong. I've even considered playing Mubellion, I'm not going to lie, but I think these are fine. They're also targets for Crossout, so if they're trying to hit your Maiden or something on a revive off of True Light, or the Blue Eyes, which I don't think is as correct, but it does happen sometimes where it ends your play, having the Crossout to stop these feels pretty strong. I think they are really good, plus they are extenders, plus they are 6s, so there is a card you can go into off of a level 1 tuner. Or, honestly, and this does come up, and I'll talk about this later, there are 10s you can go into with the Kaiser Seahorse, which I'm going back and forth on currently, but these are really strong, and Kaiser really enables them if you play the targets. 3, Valor. We're getting into the hand traps now. Valor is an it's a starter, technically, some of the time, depending on the rest of your hand. It is a searchable target off of Sage and Wishes. Like, you can normal summon it off of Mausoleum. Valor's never been better than in this deck. Valor, this is probably one of the best cards. Like, it's probably the best monster, Loki. Like, Valor is absolutely goated. We're playing triple Ash Blossom. I believe it's correct. I mean, Valor's just really, or Valor, geez, Ash Blossom's just really strong. It's good into the meta right now. You can either play it or Dominus Purge, or even both if you really want to. I don't think that's necessarily bad. We're just playing the Ash right now. 1 Ogre. This is the other card I'm thinking about bumping up to making this 43 cards, which also playing more than 40 in this deck isn't bad. Like, if I had Mulch on me, I'd probably be on 43 and change some of these ratios a little bit. But Ogre could... I'm definitely thinking about putting it as a second Ogre here and going to 43. And it's such a good card. This card ends so many players' turns. I honestly went to 1 because we're playing Crossout and it's another Crossout target. And Ogre can really, really hurt our strategy depending on where they Ogre in the combo line. So I really like Ogre and definitely think it's in contention to play as more than 1 for sure. Triple Nib. We are playing Triple Nib. Nib Iru is really, really strong right now. A lot of players are playing the Blue Eyes combo where you go into the Crimson line, which I have decided I don't think is correct. I think playing this deck is mid-range with like a lot of like grind game and consistency is correct. And Nibiru really punishes the mirror matches where they don't do that. So many of them are not respecting Nib and just going into Crimson Dragon combo, and I'm like, I get it, man. It's so good when it goes off, but like, resolving it is probably like, man, I would probably get it 1 in 5 games, and I just think for long round regionals, like if you're playing ladder, whatever, fine. I think Crimson Dragon's probably good for ladder. But man, for regionals and like higher level events, besides like a locals, I definitely think that you need to play something like this, something closer to this. And Triple Imperm rounds out the main deck. I mean, it's Imperm. It's really good. You can use it to stop basically anything. It's really strong. But let's go ahead and get into the extra deck here. Controversially, I am playing 3 Blue Eyes, or Spirit with Eyes of Blue. I believe 3 is correct. It is the starter. It is, or not starter, but you go into it off your starters. You get the Mausoleum, and then a lot of the time you're kind of sitting on 1 Spirit Dragon, where then you'll summon like your additional normal or something with what is it? Like Sage or even a Veil or something like that. And you end up with this weird line where now you have to like combo differently than you want because you have to summon dragons because you're locked into them. But it's nice if you play multiple Spirit with Eyes of Blue. If you play like the Sage here, what now you can do is instead of like forcing your combos to play a little bit differently, you link off the second one, you make a second Eyes of Blue here, and this is just a where is it? Sure. This is just spheres. And then you can continue your combo however you want, and then you have 1 for follow-up. Like, it's really good. I think 3 is absolutely correct. I've gone back and forth a little bit, but I think 3 is probably the best ratio of Spirit. And then I honestly want to play a second Seals, but the extra deck space is really, really tight. Like, it is very, very tight. So we opted for 1 Seals right now, and I'll kind of get to what I would probably cut if I was going to play a second. We're playing 1 Anima. I really like Anima in case you don't want to get locked into Spirit with being locked into dragons. If your opponent plays an Anima spot, you get to punish them really easily. It's a spellcaster, which comes up as well. Another thing is, obviously you play Nib, so, excuse me, you can suck up that token that you put in the Nib spot. Like, it's really, really good, and I think people aren't respecting it right now. Not necessarily playing into the Nib spot, but they are... It comes up enough, and while being a Link 1 that can like continue your plays without getting locked into dragons. I think Relinquish Anima could be a target to take out for second spheres, but right now I think it's really good. Lina is really strong. A very common play is you can grab like their detonator and then equip a card from your graveyard against the Ryziel Mirror. You can grab Blue Eyes, you can grab Fiendsmith. You can grab Veiler, because a lot of most decks play Veiler, and continue off that, and then you have a Light 1 Tuner. Lina's really strong right now. Even just summoning the Lina, crashing, and then searching for a like a main or something from deck to combo off, that does actually come up quite a bit. Lina is a really centerfold piece of the deck, and I think if you're not playing Lina, you are playing this incorrectly right now. I think Lina's really strong. SP, this is another one why instead of is in contention for Anima. So you can go to like Anima, then if you have like the other monster, you can enable your SP. I think SP is still really strong in this deck. I think a lot of them don't get to play SP, so when you have this plus your other like Blue Eyes setup board, you feel really in control. Like SP is such a strong card, and the fact that it's starting to drop from list I think is very surprising. I get why. The extra deck space is tight, but I think it's such a strong card. It bounces you out of a lot of things and stops opponent from playing. You can banish cards from graveyard with it and from field. Like, SP is really, really strong, and I don't believe cutting it is correct right now unless you really have to. We're playing 2 Spirit Dragons. This was also kind of nice about cutting the Crimson package, is you're able to cut the Spirit to 2, which feels really nice about extra deck space, so you can play more utility stuff. 2 Spirit is really good, though. You definitely go into them. Spirit's really strong. The graveyard negation is so good. People also don't know that you can negate your True Light in the graveyard after it goes to the graveyard. So Spirit just protects your board from being dismembered, and then you can like tag out, go into Ultimate. A lot of things I've been seeing people do is they'll use the Spirit to negate like a Engraver, and then what you do is if they pop your True Light, now your Spirit Dragon can tag out. You go into, where is he? You go into Ultimate. The Ultimate dies to the True Light and revives your Spirit. Now you have another Graveyard negation and can tag out and do, like, another Synchro again. So that feels, like, really, really strong, and they don't expect it. And then since since Spirit Dragon isn't a hard once per turn, you just gain so much advantage, and they wasted so much, like, baiting your negate, popping your back row. Like, they usually have to put something into it, the True Light. And honestly, that just feels really, really good. So don't just be like tagging out of this willy-nilly. Like, play conservatively, because you have the big guy. They have to out your guy, and they're not doing it just easily, especially with like some of the targets you have. So we're playing 1 Ultimate is one of the targets. Ultimate's really strong. I'd consider 2, but I think 1's correct for this brew. 1 Lightstorm Dragon. This is one guy I'm thinking about cutting. I go back and forth a lot on. Like, this could be second seals, and honestly, the other thing I kind of would want this to be if I was going to play it, where is it? Dispater, or, I think Dispater is really strong, or, it must be up, I must not grabbed it, Chaos Angel. But, Chaos Angel is really, really good, but it kind of always felt like win more once I hit it, so honestly, I'd rather have the utility with Lightstorm Dragon, especially because it can hit, you know, like True Light and stuff like that, or load on activation, or Mausoleum. Well, not on activation, but like, you get what I mean. But like after they're placed down and then pop the board. But Lightstorm Dragon's really strong. The pops are worth it, I think, as well as being just another target for Spirit. Last synchro here is we are playing the Moonlight Dragon, Black Rose Moonlight Dragon. Really strong, really good target off of Spirit Dragon. You get to bounce a lot of cards. If they special summon, you get to continue bouncing, especially in the mirror. I think this card is really, really strong. Definitely always just in, I think, at this point. Last 3 here. We're playing 1 Tyrant. Tyrant is an absolute boss monster. It's good a lot into Rogue, honestly, I've been finding lately. Like, the Unaffected by Trap cards is so good. Getting to attack everything is really, really strong. I know I keep saying strong. I'm sure someone's going to point that out. 3400 is hard to get over. This is really easy to make. And then we play the 1 Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate. It's really good. Like, I'm sorry, like, the fact that people don't realize that you can protect your Spirit Dragon from being targeted with this, like, is insane. I don't know why people don't do it. I see people just be like, yeah, you can target, this is fine. And I'm just like, why did you do that? What are you doing? By the way, I'm recording this like 3 a.m. So I'm sorry if I sound a little tired right now. But those are the 2. And then rounding it out, we play 1 Typhon. In the extra, we round out with 1 Typhon. Really strong, stops 3000s, and like can bounce a card, non-targeting. If you need to free up space on your board, which does come up, you can bounce himself to continue playing. He's good. He's good. Another utility spot. It could be something else if you wanted. Again, that's another space that's kind of a flex. But I do think he's really good, and I don't want to cut him. Now for the extra deck, or the side deck rather. We're playing one Meteorologic. There's a reason for that in the side. I think the side is really cool right now for Blue Eyes. It's a little tight depending on how you want to play it. But I did have Ancient Fairy in the side. I decided to cut it last minute because I don't think it's necessary. I think this play is low to the ground. Even though it has the grind game, I think a lot of players do scoop to it before they need to. Or you kind of know where you are in a mindset if you need to scoop. That's kind of a skill set that you need to learn with Blue Eyes before you let games kind of drag on too long, especially for time in big tournaments. But Meteorologic is one of them. We play triple Ultimate Slayer. You're playing basically every extra deck mechanic. Like we have Link, Synchro, Fusion, and Xyz just in the main alone. This is another, obviously, Xyz target. That you send for like Ryzeal is most likely what you're siding this in for. But triple Slayer plus like the aggregator is really, really good. Then we're playing triple Metaltronus. Metaltronus is in contention to be in the main deck. I'm gonna be honest, this card is absolutely good. I've been saying it for years. Or not years, but over a year now. It's definitely been out over a year. But I've been saying it since it was the Shining Sarcophagus deck profiles. If you haven't seen those, they probably have aged well, but, you know, it's been a year. But Metaltronus is so strong, and I think it's the best it's ever been right now. And I think people have slept on it. I think it's been good in other formats, and people get surprised, but I think right now it is at its best. Next, we are playing... Sorry, we're responding to this. Okay, we're good. We are playing a kind of controversial card, but I think it's good. 2 Ally of Justice Cycle Reader. So it's cool because it's good into a few matches. It's good against Blue Eyes if they don't have a way to get to their Ultimate Spirit Dragon on board. Because Ultimate Spirit, on res of it being summoned, stops you from banishing from grave. So it's kind of the same thing with Bystials. What's cool with this is you get to target 2, but it's up to 2. So if they have Maiden and like Blue Eyes Engrave, you get to hit both those as opposed to just one. You don't get the body of a Bystial, but this is also good into like Fiendsmith. You can hit like Detonator and stuff too. There are a lot of cards that this hits that people aren't expecting, and since you're hitting 2, they're almost never expecting 2. So I really like Cycle Reader right now, and I think he's being slept on, and he's kind of good into some rogue decks, but I do think him playing it too as being more hate for Blue Eyes, as well as the other decks, are pretty good, since we're playing quite a bit of Malice Hate. Speaking of Malice Hate, triple Lancia in the side here, I believe Lancia is correct. Also, the reason it's at 2 is because we are playing the 1 Meteorologic, or Meteorologic, whatever, so it's kind of like 3rd slot there, which was kind of weird. So I think if I was going to play a card at 2, I think the Ally Cycle Reader was correct, because we are also playing the Bystials in the main, so we do have targeting that does a similar thing while not being the same utility. 3 Lancia. So Lancia shuts down basically Malice's whole turn. You basically play this and they're kind of like, well, try to set something and pass, and then you just try to OTK if you can. And then the last card, we are playing triple Chaos Hunter, the other card that kind of shuts down Malice's turn. I do think our hardest matchup probably is into Malice. If you're good, you'll win the Blue Eyes Mirror most of the time. I think a lot of people are still learning the deck, so depending on how much experience you have with it, I think you'll do well. This also does stop like all the Bystials, which is really nice, but it's only your opponent, because it's your opponent can't banish cards. So yours still work. I think Chaos Hunter is really, really good right now. That's the reason that it's at 3 and Cycle Reader went to 2. And then Lancia is also just the other 3 of. But that's the deck profile. I think as I'm currently going to play it this weekend, I don't think I would change much personally. There's a couple things I'm going back and forth on, but that's it as of right now. Now I'll talk about more of some things that were in contention for playing since I'm still here. I really like Skill Drain. This was considered to be my 33rd card in the main deck. Honestly, I only didn't because I get to I have a really bad luck at drawing, or not drawing, at rolling dice. Like I lose almost every dice roll, and I'll keep people updated probably on my Twitter this weekend at the regional. And like, so drawing this going second feels not great. So I considered siding it, but I couldn't find room for it in the side. But there is a really heavy contention to put it in the main deck. So if you like this card and you feel like you go first very often, slap it in. I think it's correct. I think this card is really, really strong, even as a one of. So if you can fit it into the main deck or even the side, and you know you're going second, I think it is worth doing. Really good card. Purge. Purge is another card that I think is really good. If you can find room for it in the main or the side, or you're not playing Bestials, I think this card is really good. This is a card you want to definitely consider. Yeah, it's really strong. You're basically playing more ashes. I would probably play this in triple, aside again like I was before, but playing more in the modern like format of TCG with stuff that we have that OCG did or didn't have, I don't think Purge is the correct choice for my specific brew right now. Bingo Machine Go. I think this card is good. I think this card has reason to be played at one, especially depending on how many cards you're playing and what targets you have. I think this is definitely a worthwhile card if you are wanting to play more pure and have the names for it, or if you know, you just want to play another, like, Searcher. Like, I think this card is good. I think it's worth considering. Magia. This card is good. I'm sorry, it is good. But I don't think it's worth trying to combo it out in the main. I think, like I've said before, I think Blue Eyes is best played right now when it's playing as a mid-range grind deck with the Primite cards. So if you're playing Primite, I probably wouldn't play Magia. There are decks that I do think it could be played in, maybe the Alistair variants that are starting to pop up. Like, you do get Mechabo, which is really nice, and that's kind of another thing that I'll talk about here, because I don't think I pulled an Alistair out. But Alistair is really strong, the Magical Invoker, whatever it is, Magical... It's Invoked. It's the Invoke package. Those cards I think are good. I don't think that brew is bad. I don't think it's the best by any means. But I do think it is a viable option, and I could see Magia having a slot in there, but I feel like Magia probably ends up being more in pure versions. Ultimate Fusion. Ultimate Fusion is a very strong card. I think it can basically supplement as a second version of Majesty, the trap card, which is cool. And you get a monster out of it. You get pops. This is a strong card. I don't think it's correct unless you're playing 2 Tyrant. And I don't really think I have room for 2 Tyrant in the cards I want to slot in. So I don't personally think I would play this in my version, but I do believe there are versions where this is a very good card, and you may want to consider it depending on your brew. The other Primite that's not Ether Barrel. This guy is really cool. So he comes out 26. He's a 6-star monster. He negates whatever you tribute as the normal monster. It's either attribute or, I believe, the type. With the same type or attribute, yeah, as a normal monster in your graveyard, and you negate all monsters they currently control. That's a really cool effect. I think even into the mirror, that could be really strong. But I don't think it's worth... If I was going to play it, I played it 1. I think it's worth considering, and maybe if you wanted to play a heavier Primite build, play more Drill Beams. I do think playing multiple Drill Beams isn't a bad idea. But I don't think I would go above 1 of this guy, but he is worth considering, and he's a 6-star. It's cool. The other Tyrant for Ultimate, I just mixed up the order here. Jet was something that I cut that I don't love doing. I think Jet is really strong. I think Jet is really good, but I think for long form tournaments with multiple rounds, I don't want to play Jet because I hate drawing Jet. There are hands where I don't mind drawing it, but more often than not, I open Jet plus like hand traps, and I'm just like, I can't do anything here. So I think Jet is a very good card. And yes, if you get it against Yugioh board, you feel fantastic. It feels really strong. But I think Jet at 1 or higher. I've seen people try to say 2 or 3 even. But I think there's room for 1 in some brews. And if you don't mind playing an extra brick, he's really strong. Because if you resolve this, mostly only against Yugioh though. Like, he does help push for OTKs. I'll say that. There's an argument. But I don't think I would play higher. I just can't see it. Pyrise Map, that's another like searcher card that I've considered before. I don't think it's the best option, but I don't think it's a terrible one either. Like if you're playing budget and you want a searcher that will, I mean, it'll get you a card, like it'll get there, but like I just don't think it's worth it personally when you have so many other options available to you. Like Where Arf Thou was another one I've seen people kind of saying, and I'm just like, I think there are just better options. The Light and Darkness package I don't think is necessarily the best, but it is an option. It's an 8, you play Light Dragons, so you do have the option to make this guy fairly easily. And then you can make like Light and Darkness Dragonlord, which is a really strong card, and depending on the rest of your hand, that might be enough to get you there, especially in a grind game, late game. Same thing with Chaos here. So Super Poly I think is another very viable card in the deck. I apparently didn't also pull that out, but I pulled this out to kind of show it. So Light and Darkness Dragon is kind of, but Chaos guy here, he's a really good target for Super Poly. So I think that's definitely an option. You can make him off the Evap Dragon, and then also the generic, like Mud Dragon and Garua are definitely good targets. Mysterion. I think that's his name, Mysterion. He's a fusion target as well for Super Poly. He's not terrible. Like, there are good Super Poly targets on the format right now that people aren't talking about. I think because they don't need to think about it, because Super Poly is a really ignorant card to play around. But it's definitely worth considering. I think Super Poly would definitely be a good card right now. This is one of my favorite ones that I've seen, is Duality. So what's super cool about Duality here? One of the biggest contentions in Blue Eyes is sticking your normal. Like, I'm sorry, I picked up the wrong. Like Sage here, let's say. Like, say you summon Sage, and they Veiler it. Or Impermanent. Like, that doesn't feel fantastic. But, if you have Duality, this opens up a different line of play. So let's say they target the Sage with a Veiler. Or an Imperm, whichever. Those are both really played cards. You activate the Duality here, you tribute the Sage, you get to bring out, I guess I don't have it here, Millennium Eyes Restrict. I'll put it up here probably. I'll just pull this out. Like the Millennium Eyes Restrict guy, and now you have this negation on board, who's really good. I think Millennium Eyes Restrict is really good. But what's also cool about him is he is a target for, I think I have one here, I'll continue talking about it. He is a target for making your Spirit Link 1. So, because he is a level 1 spellcaster. So since you can do that, you can, yep, I have one right here, cool. Yeah, Millennium Eyes. Yeah, he's a level 1 dark spellcaster who is a negate if you want to continue playing depending on where you're at in your combo. And then when you are ready, you can link him off into your Spirit, who's right here. So then, once you do that, you have a Light and a Dark in a grave, so you can banish the Duality, put these back, you immediately have a Sage back in your deck and a Millennium Eyes, and you're going to just draw a card. Like, this card is really strong. Plus, on top of it, you can also, you have the target in Blue Eyes as well if you have Blue Eyes on board. So you can tag out the Blue Eyes into like a Boral Savage, which is really cool. And then Boral Savage also serves as an okay Super Poly target, I guess. But I think Duality is probably his best spot right now. But like, that's really good. Like, I think Duality is definitely a slept-on card that people aren't thinking of. And like, having a target like this is really, really good. I think I'm near the end here. Alright, and then just the Crimson Dragon package. It's good. I mean, if you resolve it, you are feeling in pretty good control of the game. Having Cypher and Blazar as targets for Crimson Dragon feels absolutely goated. You feel really good when this resolves, like I said. The problem is getting it to stick. And I just don't think I get it to stick enough, especially going into a long format tournament, like a regional or higher level event. You could definitely pick up regionals with this. I think I've already seen a couple builds do it. That's definitely true. You can go into tournaments like regionals and do well with this. I even see like a YCS could do well with this. Absolutely. But I think you would do better with something like this more consistently. I think one-offs like regionals aren't necessarily something to take as gospel, but, you know, I mean, you do what you want. This is really good. And if you get it, you feel in complete control of the game. Like, you're probably gonna get it. But it also doesn't feel as good going second. Like, you're not resolving it going second, which is why I think having utility cards in your extra deck is so important. So that's kind of my opinions on the deck, thoughts and ideas. Oh, there was one other one. I'll throw it up here. It's I don't have it though. I don't own it. I have to pick one up. But it's Chorzuru or Chorzoru. It's the new Magistus Super from Suda. Yeah, Suda. He's so cool. So an interesting thing here is you can use your wishes here, and if you have Blue Eyes equipped with where is it? He would be in here. If you have your Blue Eyes equipped with Neo, I was seeing you can get rid of the Neo Blue Eyes, send it to your grave, so that sets up, and then you get to play Chozaru, the Magistus guy. So then you have him as a tuner for on board. You get to keep your Blue Eyes if you want, so you can continue to do that. So Wishes just kind of becomes like this thing you're putting as an interaction. But then you can make like different synchros and stuff off of a level 4 Dark tuner. So if you play, you know, like a Bastille or something, you can make like a 10, or if you need to make a 12. I mean, it's, you know, it's 4 and 8. I mean, that's 12. That's immediately your Crimson Dragon. Like, he's really cool. I'll try to remember to put him up here, but I'll give it, if I forget, because it's late, I'll give it as much a description as I can. It's the level 4 new super rare from Suda. The, I think it's Chozaru. It's something along those lines, but that's the video. That's the video. If you stayed this long, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button. I super appreciate it. Comment down below what you think I did wrong here. I would love to hear critique. I know a lot of like content creators be like, no, don't tell me what I love hearing people's ideas and thoughts and opinions. I think that's good. It can help improve the community, and it helps me think of things I might not have thought of before. That's how I thought about the duality thing. As someone had commented about it, and I was like, that's actually an interesting idea. They asked like what I think of duality, and I kind of sat down and looked at the options, and I'm like, oh, actually Sage is a really strong target for that. Maiden is an option for it. Blue Eyes is an option for that. Yeah, really cool stuff. So make sure to reach out. I always appreciate it. And or if something you liked, let me know. But as always, I will catch you later. Wish me luck.